Hey guys, Nananki here bringing you another Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary. Today I'm playing with the new scout weapon, the Flying Guillotine. It's got some cool effects to it. If you hit a stunned player like that, you do 150 damage with a guaranteed crit, and it causes a bleed effect that lasts for 6 seconds, and it recharges for another throw after a mere 6 seconds, which is really hardly any time at all. It's fairly fun, fairly useful. I think it's pretty brilliant, to be honest, as far as updates go. For Scout especially, because I think it's brilliant for a few reasons. First of all, I don't know if you've played too much with the Sandman before, but I have a problem with the Sandman in that if I'm stunning people more than about mid-range, you know, at real long range, yeah, they're stunned for a real long time, but odds are still I'm not going to get to them, because if they've got teammates around them and whatnot, you almost have no opportunity to go charging after the person that you stunned 8 miles away. Well, now if you stun somebody from a really far distance, because their movement speed is next to nothing if you stun them from really far away, you can almost guaranteed hit them with that thing and do that extra 150 on top of the 45 or whatever you're going to do otherwise with the ball, and that's going to kill any class but a soldier. I don't know for certain the maximum damage the ball can do. It seems like I do 45 with it more often than not, so if you can do 50 with it, then you're killing anybody but a heavy or somebody with an overheal. But as you saw, there were a couple mixed up clips, but I did find my way to Dust Bowl to stay on one map for more than 2 minutes. And as you can see, when it comes to taking out somebody real quick, like that heavy in the corner, I think the Flying Guillotine, I gotta get that name in my head, the Flying Guillotine, or the Big Butcher Knife, is actually pretty useful. You know, it adds a new gimmick to Scout. But yeah, instead of adding additional health or additional jumps or other things that could preserve your life or try to get you out of sticky situations or give you added mobility in one way or another, or added functionality like the Mad Milk can put out teammates that are on fire and can restore health by shooting people that are soaked with it, of course, its primary function. But all of these things are ancillary to killing your enemy. Like, they're all based on either living longer to try to kill your enemy, or having more mobility to try to kill your enemy. This is the first update for Scout, I feel like, since the Sandman itself was introduced, that is just kill them better. You know, here's more damage. You can use your normal scattergun with this combo, which is the best scattergun, come on, let's be honest. It's got the highest ramp up at point blank range. It's just the most beast. It's the most beast of all the scatterguns, so that's why you want to use it. Now you can use it with the Flying Guillotine and the Sandman and have a purely offensive setup. That's like the pure offense Scout, taking a little bit of a hit on HP with the Sandman in exchange for the potential to drop everything except, well, even a heavy at mid-range. When you catch them right, at the right range with the Sandman so that they're actually stunned long enough to be able to chuck the knife at them and go running in behind it and blast the crap out of them, then it really works really well, in my opinion. I think I might be using this loadout for a bit. I'm also glad they didn't give Scout another melee weapon. I mean, seriously, the Scout already has the bat, he can use the frying pan, he's got the fish, the severed arm, you've got the Sandman, the candy cane, the Boston Basher, you got the reskin of the Boston Basher, that's a sword, I don't even know what it's called. You got the one that requires the enemy to be on fire, the Sun on a Stick. You got the Fan of War, even though nobody uses that. You got the Atomizer for the triple jumps. Oh, and the Wrap Assassin, the holiday wrap that you can knock a Christmas utensil ornament at someone and do damage and cause a bleed effect. So now the Scout has 2 ways to cause a bleed effect if you were so inclined. But really, if you're using the Guillotine, you're probably going to want to use the Sandman. It's the only weapon that causes stun. I don't know of another way to stun anyone in the game other than the holiday gloves on the heavy, and that's kind of an iffy thing. You can't really do that at will the way you can Sandman someone at will. Like that, and deliberately run in and make sure that they die. And I love pyros in a fray like that. When you've got some chaos going on, nobody amplifies chaos like a pyro. Gets everybody focused on him, and nobody pays attention to the little harmless Scout. You know, the little harmless Scout with the devastatingly powerful point-blank weapon. If you do manage to hit somebody with the Sandman at just the right range, and you can move in right after you throw the Guillotine, you can really murder them, even if they have 2 medics on them. But I think I was a distraction there to help the spy make out pretty well. So between me and the spy, that whole group was pretty well eliminated. And although the heavy did notice me a little bit earlier than I would have liked, I did go jumping away and went off to go get the health. But rather than re-engage the way I've been doing with the Sandman, I don't know what possessed me to try to move in from the roof. And I was like, I'll jump behind this guy. Surely he won't turn around and surely I won't miss half my shots. But I did. And even though he was on fire with like no health left, there had to have been a medic right there because he did not burn to death. So I respawned, I came charging back out just in time to see the point get captured. That demo man must have been on the absolute verge of death because I killed him with a 5 damage shot. Same thing with the pyro. You know, that was no more than like a 20 damage little pin prick. It wasn't anything of substance. I don't think that sniper's very familiar with the map, or he would have known I was coming up behind him, as likely as not. Or it's entirely possible that he just didn't pay attention and just disregarded me, like, oh, that scout left. Like, no, that scout circled around. And yeah, I was pretty sure I was screwed there, but that spy that I just kind of happened to be... I keep running into him, I guess because I'm behind the front line. I half expected that pyro to turn around and try to burn up the ever-helpful spy, so I launched a preemptive Sandman, hoping for the best, but it didn't hit anything. It hit empty air. So that was worthless. I wasted my ball for nothing. So me and the pyro both ran different directions behind the house, which means the people who were chasing me ran into a pyro going the other way, so I thought that was pretty amusing. Stuff you can't set up if you try, and I thought I was going to miss everybody with that Sandman, so I didn't even have the guillotine out, so I was in a bad spot there. I pulled it out too late and chucked it at the guy too late, and I think don't even think I hit the demo man, I think I hit the heavy. And right there, you know, when that medic was following me and healing me, I was like, you know, boy, I appreciate that I'm being healed, but I really get antsy when there's a medic running around with me as a scout, because my method to surviving any kind of conflict is to just run away. And unless the medic's got the quick fix, they can't pull that off the way I can. And on top of that, if they're in front of me or even just next to me, they don't have any time to run. Like that pyro came around that corner, and yeah, I had just enough lead time to run away, but the medic sure didn't. And so I threw the guillotine at the spy and it vanished. So that tells you right there, if it hits a player, or a teammate I should say, it vanishes. Or it at least dead ends. It doesn't fall to the ground, or even if it does, it doesn't matter because you can't pick it back up the way you can the ball. I did confirm that. I know that for a fact. And I also know that it can be compression blasted. I was not actually in this round, but last night when I was playing, I did see a compression blast knock back the butcher blade, but I couldn't tell for certain. It didn't hit anybody with the reflection, so I guess it's possible that it doesn't have an actual effect upon impact, but it probably does. Every other item in the entire game, when it's reflected, if anything, it gets powered up, not decreased in power. So I'm lit on fire there, and I saw a lot of my teammates in the little house with the little health pack in there, and I was reasonably sure that there wasn't going to be a health pack if I went in there and I was just going to stand there and burn to death, and I thought, well, I'll run for the tunnel. And I kind of thought I was right on the verge of having enough health to survive that in the first place anyway. But no such luck. One of those situations where I didn't quite see what I had when I first went in. And I exhausted my clip against the heavy and didn't take him out. I wasn't close enough, didn't aim well enough. So that was like a sacrifice play or something. I died, but so did the heavy. Usually I feel like it's only worth it to sacrifice my life if I'm taking out a medic. You know, I saw the sniper trying to fight that pyro, and I went running in kind of hoping to be able to get there in time to save him, but I was at least there in time to avenge him and give him an assist on the guy. So I come around that corner there and I fired off the Sandman, because obviously there's a heavy and a medic coming at me, and I managed to pop the heavy so his Uber was completely wasted in the tunnel, and I warned my team, like, hey, there's an Uber in there, be careful. And I figured I could come up behind him here, and I threw the guillotine, and I didn't get my weapon up for a bunch of seconds. I think it might have been because I was holding down the mouse button there. If you hold down fire after throwing that weapon, you just stand there with no weapon in your hands. It doesn't auto-switch to another weapon, and obviously you don't reload because you can't pick it up off the ground to get it quicker or anything else. It's going to be there when the little bar fills up and not before. But yeah, being able to chuck something at somebody to keep them burning or bleeding, same difference, is a nice little compliment, even when you're not sandmanning people in the first place. And yeah, there you go, 45 damage. I think that might have been a crit even. I'm not even sure from the Sandman. So, suffice to say, anything but a soldier and a heavy are probably going to go down from the 1-2 combo there. It's fairly potent. It's fairly strong. You know, that's why I decided to sit down and play Scout tonight, was I picked up the new heavy weapon as well. I didn't pick up the new sapper for Spy because it already got nerfed. It went from a 1.6 second time to degrade the level of the structure to 3 seconds. So nearly twice as slow as it was, and it already seemed like it was kind of slow. And that's not to say that it's not going to be useful or valuable, or that there will be people who use it to great effect, but it's not going to be my bag, I think. God, I was so on top of that medic, I was inside of his model. Like, you could see the weird clipping effects from the polygon being outside the range. And there's another 45 damage shot. So, was it a crit, though? Because it looked like it was a crit, but I can't tell, frankly. So, whether it was a crit or not, Sandman can do 45, 150 with the guillotine, so 195 combo there. That's pretty strong. I can respect that. It's the same as a melee crit. And here's the end of the round, and my horrible faily self, not even realizing there was a scout behind me, not managing to shoot any of the people on the point, but my buddy Ad comes in with the clutch victory save. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always. Check out that new guillotine, because it is pretty good stuff. And I will catch you next time. Peace.